am Beck Breitling. I'm a Riding Warehouse sponsored rider. I'm here today to teach you and tell you a little bit about my tips and tricks for improving your position, your seat, your leg when you're jumping and on the flat. Okay, so we're finally at the jumping phase of improving our seat now. I love setting up exercises that allow myself to focus not just on myself, but how I improve the horse's balance and jumping style. So one of my favorites is working over Cavalettis. And so in this exercise, there's a little bit of setup. You can use Cavalettis. If you don't have Cavalettis, just small jumps. You can set a jump quite low, a couple of inches high, really. This even works over rails if that's all you have available. So I set my rails up. I pick a point in the middle of the arena, and I'm going to step 30 feet out towards the outside. I'm going to pick perhaps 4 Cavalettis. If you don't have 4, you can use 3, you could use 2. Again, it's quite, it's an exercise that you can kind of interpret and make it work for you depending on your space and your arena and what you have available. So obviously my goal would be if I could have 4 Cavalettis set up 30 feet out from the center in a nice circle. I'm going to start my horse out on the circle. I may actually potentially just start jumping 2 of the Cavalettis. Again, it all depends on how green, how inexperienced your horse is. This is a great warm-up exercise before you jump. So I'm going to start in the canter. I'm going to work over my Cavalettis until I can incorporate all 4 of them in the canter. Ideally, my distance that I've set 30 feet out from the center for a standard strided horse would be 5 to 6 strides between each Cavaletti. There's 2 big things about this exercise. It allows you to work on improving the canter between the Cavalettis in regards to making the canter a little longer. You can cover a little bit more ground. You can work on collecting the canter, but all through doing that is how you make that happen. How your seat, your leg, and your reins influence how the canter and how the Cavalettis then are jumped. One of the biggest struggles that this exercise has, I do know a lot of people refer to it as the circle of truth and all kinds of names for this exercise. One of the biggest issues we struggle with is using our inside rein only to make the turn, and the horses start losing the shoulder and bulging to the outside. The biggest thing to focus on is being able to use your outside aids, your leg and your seat to help you turn. Therefore, one of my favorite extensions of this exercise is to actually do it one-handed. So in this exercise, I would typically put my reins in my outside hand, and then my inside hand, I would just rest lightly on my hip. Another favorite, if you get really quite balanced at this, is to actually hold your other hand out, your inside hand out in front of you while you're holding your reins in your outside hand. And that allows you really to think about keeping that core strength and really allowing this part of your body to stay really stable. When you're doing this without your reins, I think you have to keep your goals low. It can feel like it comes undone pretty quickly, so don't be afraid to perhaps only do 4 Cavalettis at a time. Then take your rein back, make sure you can reestablish a good balance. It's really good to take breaks. I do think the horses actually get quite tired doing this exercise around and around in the circle, so perhaps only 3 or 4 times around the circle before taking a break is good until the horses get a lot stronger. It's actually, for a small Cavaletti exercise, it is quite a challenging exercise for the horses as well. So one of my main criteria when I first start this exercise is I would like to complete the circle with the same amount of strides between each Cavaletti. Then I'm going to challenge myself to perhaps add 1 more around each part of the circle. Again, it's trying to create the consistency in the exercise, but once you've mastered the consistency, your goal then could move on to going from 4 strides to 5 strides to 6 strides to 7 strides within that one circle. So once you've mastered the consistency of the strides staying the same, the challenge can then go on to, can you have the obedience and the effectiveness of your position to change the horse's length of stride in such a short segment of time. This is a great way to improve your consistency over fences just by using your small Cavalettis. For more information, you can check out my videos at the blog at ridingwarehouse.com.